I'd like to call to order the City of Douglasville City Council Legislative Work Session for today, which is Thursday, May 11th. Our invocation will be done by Elder Lachey Aki of the Daystar Tabernacle Church, and after that, the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Mayor Pro Tem Larry Yockey. Please stand for the invocation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Let's go before the Father. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this day, oh God. We just glorify your name, Father. We pray, oh God, for the mayor and the council members, Lord God, and her staff, Father God. We pray that you give them wisdom and understanding, oh God, of how to govern Douglasville City, Father God. We thank you, Lord God, that they be on one accord in this meeting, that everything be done decently and in order, oh God. And we just thank you for all things. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, Mayor Pro Tem and Elder Aki. We appreciate the invocation. We'll go to announcements and presentations, and there is a presentation of a proclamation declaring May 14th, 2017 through May 20th as Peace Officers Memorial Day and Police Week in the City of Douglasville. I will read the proclamation and then have the chief and whomever else to come forward, and after that we'll do protocol for the meeting. The proclamation says, Peace Officers Memorial Day and Police Week, May 14th through 20th, 2017. Whereas the Congress and President of the United States designates May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week in which May 15th occurs as Police Week. And whereas from the beginning of this nation, law enforcement officers have played an important role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms which are guaranteed by the Constitution and in protecting the lives and property of our citizens, and it is important that all citizens of the City of Douglasville know and understand the duties and responsibilities of the Douglasville Police Department and the necessity for cooperating with them in maintaining law and order. And whereas it is fitting and proper that we express our gratitude for the dedicated service and courageous deeds of the Douglasville Police Department for the contributions they have made to the security and well-being of all citizens. Now, therefore, I, Rochelle Robinson, Mayor of the City of Douglasville, do recognize May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day in the week of May 14th through May 20th, 2017, as Police Week, and further extend appreciation to the men and women of the Douglasville Police Department for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they serve. Thank you so much. We'll have the Chief come forward. You want to say anything, Chief? Or Chief Gary Sparks?
It's an honor to serve the citizen here in Douglasville, Douglas County. It's a calling for me, and I think it's a calling to serve for all the men and women that work for the citizens here. So we really appreciate it, and we are one with the community, and we will keep the community safe. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chief. Community Policing. We'll ask that you'll come to the front and receive the proclamation, and the council members please come around and take a photo with the chief. Okay, we'll just go over some protocol issues for the legislative work session. I'd like to welcome you again to the City of Douglasville's legislative work session. This is a work session where agenda items are presented for discussion and no official action will be taken tonight. Official action will be taken on these items discussed tonight on Monday, May the 15th at 6 p.m. If the business you are here for is not listed as an agenda item, there will be ample time under the agenda item comments from Citizens and Delegates section to discuss your business. The few protocol items that I have is that I ask that you would keep your comments and presentations on a professional level, dealing with the facts that are important for this governing body to make their decisions. We will not accept comments that are considered by the chair to be a personal attack on any individual, group, or individuals. You'll receive warning from the chair if you deviate from this recommendation or requirement, and the second deviation will result in asking you to leave the chambers. Only one person will be speaking at a time. Please do not applaud or react to the speakers that are in the audience. We ask that you would fill out a form. If you would like to speak on the agenda items, there's a green form outside on the desk. Please fill that out and give your name and address and put that information. You hand that form to our Deputy Clerk, Ms. Sharon Keith, and come to the podium and give your name and address for the record. The agenda items will be handled as follows. The committee chairperson will read the agenda item, then the person representing the agenda item or the applicant will make his or her presentation first, and there will only be one opportunity for you to present the information. Then the mayor and members of the council will possibly ask questions. There will be 30 minutes for and 30 minutes against. Each person will be limited to 5 minutes to speak for that agenda item. Again, come to the podium, give your name and address for the record, and I ask that you would please silence all of your electronic devices, your cell phones and iPads and such, so that it will not be disrupted during the meeting. Okay, we'll move on to the agenda items. The first committee is Public Safety Committee. That's chaired by Councilman Sam Davis.
No items at this time, Madam Mayor. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Thank you, Councilman Davis. Community and Economic Development Committee, that's chaired by Councilmember Mark Adams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have one item tonight under Community and Economic Development. We'll talk about adopting a resolution offering logistical support to the organizers of the 10th Annual Penny McHenry Hydrangea Festival and recognizing June 3rd and 4th, 2017 as Penny McHenry Hydrangea Festival Days in the city of Douglasville. Mr. Lynn.
Yes, sir. Jonathan Lynn, Community and Development Services Director, 6695 Church Street, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134. I don't want to take but just a minute. I do know we have some people representatives from the Hydrangea Festival here to speak on behalf of this resolution, but it is June the 3rd and 4th of this year, and it is actually going to be the 10th anniversary of the Hydrangea Festival. So they're looking forward to it, and the theme for this year is going to be Everlasting Ocean. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Farmer and Ms. Hudson, who are here.
Welcome, ladies. How are you all tonight?
We're fabulous. We hope you are.
I'm sure that you know by now the drill. Name and address for the record, and we thank you for coming in to speak with us about it.
Suzanne Hudson, 8612 Campbellton Street, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134.
And I'm Jerry Farmer, 8709 Lake Forest Drive, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134.
Thank you.
Y'all know our drill, too.
Mm-hmm.
If we can answer any questions or what, we're excited that it's our 10th year, and because it's an ocean hydrangea, we are telling everyone in our community to make a wave. And that means, what are you going to do to make our community better? Let us know what that is, and we're posting those on the wall of the museum. So
Thank you.
Make a wave for our community.
Well, one of the things that doesn't just have to be just for the festival, although we want a lot of waves for the festival, but it can be year-long. We want people to really engage in the community and get involved and make it a better place for all of us.
Thank you, ladies. Questions? Council, have any questions for the ladies? Madam Mayor?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ms. Farmer and Ms. Hudson, for what you do all throughout the year, and especially for the Hydrangea Festival. Are you going to have the flower show?
The award-winning flower show.
Okay, just brag about that for a little while, please. Thank you, Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
for allowing me to say that.
we have just found out that for the 9th year, we've won top flower show in the state. And we've also won top flower show in the nation for 8 years, but the national convention is not for another few weeks. So we won't know if we won top flower show in the nation. But I mean, for a little town in Douglasville, Georgia, I think that's fabulous. And it's because of our citizens that that show is so fabulous. Last year we had over 500 horticultural entries from our citizens. They brought things from their gardens or their yard to enter into that flower show.
And tell us how we can do it, Miss
How many of you
Jerry.
have been to the flower show? I guess would be my question. I know you have, Rochelle.
I was the driver.
A driver. But did you go into the flower show, Sam? Did you?
I sat in the van.
Say, well, you need to get inside that courthouse and see the flower show, because not only does it have the horticultural entries, but it has educational exhibits, it has themed tables, I think 24 themed tables, it has bed trays. So there's a lot more involved than just the flowers, although the flowers are just magnificent, really.
And 45 judges from all over the state judge our flower show. It's not local judges that judge it.
How can the viewing audience participate? The days, and should they fill out a form, come to the museum and all that stuff?
It's on the website of how to enter your flower.
Okay.
It's on our website, but they certainly can come to the museum. We'll help them with anything they need help with. And of course, they can be a vendor at our market, so there's a lot of ways citizens can get involved. They can volunteer in a garden to be a host or hostess, so there's many ways to get involved.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
One of the things, I'll just throw this out, because we'd like for each and every one of you to decorate your mailbox or your door or a lamp post, because when folks visit our downtown area and out in the community, out in the county, it just creates a really festive ambiance. So the more of you all that will decorate, the more beautiful the community will be.
There were 17 different states represented, visitors from 17 different states last year, 3 foreign countries, and 55 different Georgia cities that came to our town.
All right. Do y'all have like an award process for the mailbox or the?
Yes, it's on
Okay.
the website. You email your picture of your mailbox, and then it's eligible for an award.
For the record, we always do it. We just never.
And you
Try to
decorate
fly.
with hydrangeas.
Good job.
Yeah, you decorate with hydrangeas.
Other questions or comments? Let me say again, thank you, ladies, for what you do. It just as the mayor has said, not just for this, but all year long in our community. We're really appreciative of that. But you made the comment that you had won the national award 8 years, and this is the 10th year of the Hydrangea Festival overall, right? So probably the first year we didn't win, and after
Oh,
that
we
you did.
won. We won't know about the 9th year
I
until a
see.
couple
Okay.
more weeks.
And now the 10th
And
is
then
coming
the
up.
10th will be coming
Gotcha.
up. So, no, we've won every year.
Pretty good record then.
It is a good record.
Good job. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Appreciate you all being here. Madam Mayor, that's all that we have under that committee. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. We'll move on to Planning and Development Committee, and that's chaired by Councilman Mark Adams as well.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have several items tonight under Planning and Development. We'll start with item A, hold a public hearing and consider a request for a special land use permit for sales and service, new and used cars for 2.55 plus or minus acres, Zone CG General Commercial at 6066 Bankhead Highway, located land lot 825, District 18, Section 2A, Parcel 4, application made by Wilson Marcellus. Is there a representative of this applicant here with us tonight? If so, please come forward. While we're waiting for that, let's make sure we all understand the rules, and I'll only have to announce this once because we do have several public hearings. 1 hour total, Ms. Keith, 30 minutes for, 30 minutes against, and you will be keeping the time as far as the for and against time limits of 5 minutes per. Is that correct? Okay. Is there anyone here concerning the application? Not having anyone here to present the application, I'm assuming that we will give them an opportunity again on Monday, at which time we would be voting on this application. I understand, in speaking with staff this afternoon, that this is in fact a renewal. I was by the location this afternoon, and they are in fact operating today a used automobile location. So we want to make sure that we realize that this is a renewal.
I'll go ahead and ask so that we'll have information for Monday. Have there been any problems or concerns or complaints concerning this special land use permit? Would staff know that? Okay. Thank you. Then I will close the public hearing since there's any other discussion or question. I'll close the public hearing for this item and move on to item B. Hold a public hearing and consider a request for a change in zoning from CG General Commercial and IL Light Industrial with stipulations outlined in Exhibit A1 in Ordinance 00822 approved on May 5, 2008 to CG General Commercial and IL Light Industrial with changes to remove all special conditions set forth in Exhibit A1 in Ordinance 008-22, eliminate the mandated site plan attached as Exhibit C in Ordinance 0-08-22, permit concrete washout facility as a permitted construction use without limitation to office only on the IL zone tract, retain the approved zoning classification in Ordinance 0-08-22, permit access to State Highway 92, Dallas Highway on both the CG and IL parcels for 6.14 plus or minus acres. Parcel number 073601300007 for property located land lot 736, District 1, Section 3. Parcel 7, application made by Atlantic Precast Washout. Mr. Fowler, I assume you're here to represent that applicant?
Yes, I sure
Yes, sir.
am. Joe Fowler, Post Office Box 49, Douglasville. I'm here with Todd Gerke, who is the Vice President of the organization. He'll be speaking in just a few minutes, and behind him is Darrell Ray, who prepared the site plan that you see before you tonight. You all remember that this was zoned for both commercial and light industrial uses by the city way back almost, 9 years ago now, May the 8th, 2008. At that time, it was surveyed as a total of just over 6.3 acres. Of that total, the portion on Highway 92, roughly 2.3 acres, was zoned for CG, general commercial. The easternmost, just over 4 acre, was zoned for light industrial. That, you may remember, also was rezoned at the request of Fortress Storage, who had planned to extend their facility for commercial uses on the front on Highway 92 and then outside storage on the rear, which required the light industrial rezoning. The back parcel would be accessed by Malone Street, which recently has become a problem, we understand. There were also, however, conditions of zoning as to the permitted uses if the Fortress Storage expansion fell through, and unfortunately it did. The expansion did not take place. A number of years went by, and then Todd's company purchased the property as properly zoned for that permitted use on December the 15th, 2016. The idea, as you may remember, was to use the property for what's referred to generally as construction environmental services. He'll talk more about that in just a minute or two. On March the 14th, 2017, the city's Planning and Development Committee they approved the development plan in the manner that was proposed by Atlantic Concrete Washout, and everything was set to move forward. Excuse me. As you know, just about 2 weeks later, the city attorney determined that there was an issue in the city's final approval, finding that there was an inconsistency with the approval by the Planning and Development Committee and the rezoning from way back in 2008. Well, at that point, Mr. Gerke contacted our office, and we decided to simply proceed with a new application for rezoning that would resolve the technical objections that had been found by the city attorney. In other words, what had been done recently by the city's Planning and Development Committee, we just agreed that it could be rescinded, hoping that we wouldn't have any issues moving forward now with the application that you have before you tonight. And what you have is the request to retain the same rezonings, CG on the front, light industrial in the rear, but to do a number of things that you probably see before you as stipulations or proposed recommendations with respect to this request. I've worked with the staff and the city attorney regarding these items, and I'll just review those briefly. I believe you may have those before you. The first is that the prior rezoning of May the 5th, 2008 is simply repealed, including all the stipulations and the mandated site plan that were part of that. And then secondly, as I suggested a moment ago, the portion on the west side of the property will retain its CG zoning. The portion at the rear will retain its light industrial zoning classification. As the city attorney and I were talking about the issue of access, condition number 3 states simply this, that no business license or other permitting will be permitted for the entire tract until such time as our client has recorded an easement for vehicular traffic from the light industrial parcel across the commercial property all the way out to 92. The thought there, I suspect, is if the commercial portion were ever transferred by our client without a retained easement to gain access to Highway 92, then our only way out would be on Malone Street, and that's the problem everybody is trying to solve, with a footnote that I'll mention in just a moment. With respect to what can be done on the CG parcel, condition number 4 states that whatever the CG uses are that are permitted under the ordinance will be allowed on that tract. And then there's another footnote added to that, is that there may be parking at some point in the future, and if so, that would be permitted. I said concrete parking. That's what I should have said if I didn't, but you get the idea. There may be parking needed for the light industrial use there. In the light industrial zoned portion, that's the acreage to the east, you'll see a number of uses that are mentioned there. This sounds like the Gong Show.
I promise we didn't do it, Mr. Fowler. Not intentionally. Go ahead.
All right, if I can continue speaking, notwithstanding the gongs going off. The permitted uses on the... Can I continue?
Now, let me clarify. We have their case to be submitted, we have their case to be made, and then we have 5 minutes per for and 5 minutes against. Is there a limit for their time in presentation? No. There is not. Carry on, Mr. Fowler.
Okay, well, I'll be very brief. The uses will be those that are requested by my client, plus the other uses that you see there. And speaking with the staff about this, if something should fall through now, like it did back in 2008, staff is looking for some parameters. And we understand that and don't have a problem with that suggestion that arose from your staff. Now, the one issue that probably concerns everyone on the council and perhaps even some persons in the audience is this. We've agreed that for truck vehicular access, it'll be State Route 92 for both parcels. All Atlantic concrete washout trucks will use State Route 92 for access, period, no exceptions. We would request, however, that the employee personal vehicles, meaning, as you see further defined, other than vehicles requiring a CDL license, be permitted to use the Malone Street for access to the property. The idea there is they may be coming up the revised circuitous route that comes from Highway 78. If they come up that way, it's most convenient for them just to come right up there. Employee vehicles only. They can't be driving the 3-axle trucks that will be used for the business purposes. There will be about 10, maybe 15 employees, so you're looking at very minimal traffic that would be accessing the site by that route. The hours of operation you see in paragraph numbered 7. Paragraph numbered 8 deals with the construction for the property that will be on the light industrial site. And we have a drawing that you have before you. It will be 4-side stucco. This complies with your ordinance. Any roll-off trucks, which, by the way, are the only trucks that are used by this concern. They're 3-axle vehicles. They are no larger than what the city vehicles use for picking up trash on city streets. This is precisely what this company uses. They may, however, from time to time be required to use an accessory trailer which can be attached and towed. That's condition number 9. The development plan is before you as well, and you see generally what is proposed there. Now, briefly at this point, Todd will come up and explain the particular use and how it operates on the site. And then after that, if you have questions, we'd be more than glad to respond.
Thank you, Mr. Fowler. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Nice to see you again. Todd Gerke, Senior Vice President of National Concrete Washout and Atlantic Concrete Washout, 7765 Malone Street here in Douglasville. I'm not going to repeat myself as far as going through the whole spiel because I know a lot of you have heard it, although some of you have not. So I just wanted to reintroduce myself, reintroduce our company very quickly, and just take any questions that you might have. Our company is based in Oviedo, Florida. We operate in 4 different states: California, soon to be Georgia, Texas, and Florida. We've been in business for about 15 years, and we're in the environmental services business, working on construction sites, commercial and residential, dealing with construction concrete washout waste, basically. So when anyone on a concrete washout area has to pour concrete, they have to wash out in a designated space. Those spaces are our concrete washout bins. That material and the washout water gets recycled and dealt with at facilities around the metro Atlanta area. We have relationships in place, north, south, east, west, to dispose of the materials. Our operation here in Douglasville is basically the storage of the container units and our trucks and our team. We disperse the trucks out in the morning with empty containers. Those trucks go out, spend a few hours servicing different locations. We have containers as well staged throughout the Atlanta area, so we don't have to come back to the yard every time we do business. And midway through the day, some trucks will come back. They will reload different containers and head out again. And then in the evening, those trucks will come back for the evening. We are very much of a mom and pop organization, as I've said repeatedly throughout all of our community meetings. We are not a big corporation. We are family owned, and we are a very successful business that is very much looking forward to working in Atlanta. We spent about a year trying to find a parcel of land that would accommodate our needs and give us access to routes that would be within our logistical time frame to get around the community. Thankfully, your community is doing an exceptional Highway 92 redevelopment project, and that's the whole entire reason that we ended up here, because the parcel that you had zoned industrial, light industrial, is easily connected to 20, which gives us access to get both north and south very quickly. So logistically, it's a great area to be in. We are very much looking forward to being a part of the community, hiring local, having people from the area join our team, supporting their families, their community efforts, all the things that are happening. And over time, certainly we look to grow, and we look to support what's happening here in the community.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else to make a presentation as a part of the public hearing before we go to other speakers?
If you need something from Mr. Ray, he can answer questions for you, but otherwise, no, we don't have any further presentation.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Fowler. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of this application? If so, please come forward. Make sure you filled out the green sheet. Give it to our city clerk, please, and then come forward. If not, is there anyone here to speak in opposition of this application? If so, please come forward, state your name and address for the record, fill out the green sheet, turn it in to our city clerk, and come forward to speak.
Yes, good evening. My name is Jesse Nation, and I live at 1621 Doris Road, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134. And I'm here in opposition of the rezoning application. Reasons being that we really don't think it would be a benefit for our community, and also we're just sick and tired of any and every kind of business being put on our side of town. We're not anti-business. In fact, we like to see any type of business that's come over there that's going to enhance our quality of life over there. We really don't have much on that side of town other than used car lots and used tire sales places. We would really love to see some type of business coming in there that's going to improve the community for as the appearance and perception of the community. And as I said, we're not anti-business. We want businesses that's gonna be beneficial for us. And as a matter of fact, we had an incident at the zoning board meeting on May the 2nd. I sent each one of you an email about that incident. And we feel like that shows exactly how some of the board members feel about that side of town. And anyone that has those type of feelings about that side of town, we know they're not going to vote in favor of anything to enhance the community. They'll be voting for things that's going to be detrimental to the community. And we really, as I said, want something over on that side of town that we can be proud of. And back to the situation at the zoning board meeting, we feel, I don't know if this is the place and time for it, but I'm going to say it, we don't think anybody on that, with that type of attitude or perspective of a part of the town should even be on the zoning board. And we respectfully ask that the
Mr. Nation,
members.
Yes. I received your email, and I'll just interrupt you there just to say, please, if we could, let's stick to the issue that we have at hand. I understand that is a viable issue. That's an issue that needs to be addressed, but it has nothing to do with this zoning issue that we're speaking of in opposition or proposing at this moment, okay?
All right.
Please.
Okay.
Thank you.
But anyway, we just ask that the council respectfully deny this rezoning committee application, because we just feel, the people on the north side of town feel like we've been neglected over the years, and we're really tired of just seeing things come into our community that's not really beneficial for us. So, as again, we ask the council to please deny this rezoning application.
Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Are there others that would speak in opposition to this application? Please come forward. Good evening. How are you, ma'am?
I'm good.
Good.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Of course, I'm here regarding the zoning ordinance.
Name and address for the record.
I'm sorry, Nobi Mitchell, 7755 Mountain Creek Way, Douglasville, Georgia. I am here in reference to the zoning ordinance, the IL and CG. May 19, 2008, the mayor and council at that time set restrictions for the type of businesses that should be in the area in order to preserve the community. It was not just for the storage company, because there are 2 or 3 pages of different businesses as options there. In 2017, this community still deserved to be preserved, not becoming an industrialized area. If the special conditions are removed for this business, you may not have any control of companies that want to establish a business on that site or the adjacent sites, as waiting on these restrictions to be lifted. Samples of the businesses that you may not be able to control would be like lumber, type building materials, fabricated metal products, grain companies. And this would be bad, especially for people dealing with allergy issues, liquor stores. This will have a major impact on the community if these restrictions are lifted. In 2008, we appreciate the recognition from the mayor and council that saw that there was a need to protect this community. My sincere belief is that God allowed the ordinance to be revealed or uncovered. I don't think it was necessarily lost. And we know what was said before with reference to current zonings not being in front of the full council. Well, now it is in front of the full council. And again, I am in opposition of removing all these restrictions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mitchell. Anyone else that would like to speak in opposition to this application? Please come forward. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing portion of this, and then I will open the floor for comment or question from council or from Madam Mayor for the applicant. Anyone?
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to, the original zoning or the initial zoning that we're looking at changing right now had a special stipulation in there. I know that's kind of outside the normal zoning parameters that go on, but I think it's permitted. I'm just wanting to back up a little bit and get an idea of the legislative intent behind the special stipulations. I understand that there was a storage facility going in there, and I believe that the storage facility, the change was to make it where the storage facility could put their limited access storage facility places in there. Is that correct?
Susan will know better than I would with respect to that. I believe it had something to do with the expansion of what he currently does, which is light industrial and for outside storage. But I don't know beyond that. I was not involved in that.
I'd just like to get a better concept of what's going on. This has been we do have concerns about the community. And I wasn't here. I wasn't on the council back when these decisions were made. I'm glad that we've looked into this and saw that there were special stipulations there. But Susan, can you help me to understand that a little bit better?
Yes, sir. My memory is the same as Joe's on that. That it was we thought it would be purchased by Fortress Storage at the time. That never did come to pass.
Okay, and so because that never did come to pass, but the stipulations stayed with the property.
Yes, sir. As it must be, whenever you rezone property.
I guess we'll never even get. I don't know if there's a way to get to the answer, but I would like to know what the council thought at the time of, were we going to restrict the use of that property through the expansion of the Fortress storage units, or were we just going to expand for a whole unit? To my knowledge, the use of the specific Fortress storage unit would utilize a limited access to there. Does that make sense? And that's just in my mind. I'm just kind of talking through this. And if it was, that may be the purpose of was anybody here? Was anybody on the council at that time?
It was 2002 through 2006.
Okay.
So it was talked about in 2006 with the person who owned it, which was Mr. Reed, who did a development and had Fortress storage, and this was for that entire area for Fortress storage. But I'm not certain of what had taken place between 2006 and 2008, but that was the initial conversation.
But Fortress storage never have access going down Malone Road.
No, sir. It wasn't discussed. It was always, I don't even know if that was an option. They just came out on 92 and back in Audrey Circle and all that area.
So this application has kind of opened up some new
Yes,
issues that would have never been considered back then anyway.
I actually have the original zoning and the original site plan, and it does anticipate access down Malone Street.
The original being prior to the
after-
Fortress storage.
During the rezoning that was approved in 2008, they approved a site plan that
Okay.
did provide for access down Malone Street. And in fact, here's the elaborate detail of what was approved. And then if you flip farther, you'll see that the light industrial uses probably total 50 or 75 different permitted uses. And the idea then was precisely what I mentioned earlier with respect to what has been done in the recommendations before you tonight, and that is this. If for whatever reason the fortress storage concept did not get developed, then any future purchaser of that site could do those uses that were permitted and could have access down Malone Street. What you have before you tonight is a buyer, an owner, actually, they've already closed on the property, as I mentioned, who want to continue the same general commercial light industrial uses, wants to restrict access along Malone Street just to his employees, 10 or 15 people, and then continue an operation that you heard him, or rather I should say, to begin an operation that he's described.
Now,
So
I'm sorry, I just have we've been through this ever since the rock quarry issue has come up. We've had a lot of questions, and it's brought a lot of issues to light. And I guess one thing I keep getting to, folks that are doing zoning requests, they come in and I'm not saying you guys aren't, but they come in with a lot of solutions and a lot of promises to do certain things, but there's really no enforcement to back that up. So, if there are trucks that start running down Malone Street, who's there to enforce that? Is that the community who will start calling and telling us? Is that a violation of Douglasville ordinance? How do we fix that?
If a neighbor who lives in the area observes it, the two from whom you heard, one is Mountain View, the other is on Doris Road, but if somebody who lives in that area sees these 3-axle trucks, the size of one of the city vehicles that's used for picking up trash, for example, but if they see it, then they would report it. You can get an injunction to stop that. There's not going to be somebody out there every day watching it except for the neighbors, and you can enjoin that use. I think part of what goes on with respect to these is you have to sort of test and see about the person that's going to be there, see how the wind blows with respect to, in this case, a family business with a man who I think shows incredible integrity to undo what could have been a legal problem and to say, hey, I'm here to do the right thing. If there were a problem and nobody realized it, nobody wants to push any buttons on that.
And I think he's done a great job at trying to remedy the situation that we're in. I've seen some winds blow on this thing, and I'm just really curious and concerned about the potential adverse effect on the community right there. And it's not your buyers or your owner's fault. It's not the city's fault. It's a combination of bad zoning over the past several years. But I do want to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to protect the community.
Interestingly, in this instance, the 2008 zoning accomplished what you wanted. There is a use that's proposed here that was not in all that massive list. And what's happened is, although there was a right under that ordinance to gain access across Malone Street, he's changed it willingly, except for he would like to have, if you'll permit it, access along Malone Street for his employees only. Thank you.
Other questions? Madam Mayor?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. To the request or the concern that Councilman Mike Miller put, is there some kind of way that we could have a remedy of a sign legally, just a no truck sign or something for that area, and have a description of the trucks? I know there are some signs that say over a certain amount, or when you're crossing the railroad, you say there's no trucks, and it gives a little picture, pictorial or something.
Yes, ma'am. In fact, today I asked your transportation planner to put together a new truck route map for enforcement that would be helpful to us in this regard.
Could we also, Ms. Littlefield, designate this as a no truck zone on Malone Street?
Yes, sir. That's what that would do.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I anticipated. That would be the next step.
Now, you might want to talk with them about where they intend to turn to go south, because your truck route map will accommodate that as well. My understanding is that the industrial trucks that come off this site and then head north but want to go south can turn around on 92 without going past the daycare in there or the residential subdivision.
That brings up a good question that I'll ask, and Ms. Littlefield, I was going to wait, but I'll ask it because you brought it up.
Sure.
We don't know what Highway 92's relocation signage and red lights, we don't know exactly how they will be set up. And so my concern was, will they be able to do a U-turn at what will be a new red light signal at Malone and 92? If they can, and if the size of the trucks will accommodate that they can in fact do it, that they're physically able to do a U-turn, does anyone know whether or not that intersection is going to accommodate, or will it be marked no U-turn? That would be a question I would have, if anyone has any information on that.
That's
Totally up to DOT.
transportation, and that may not be finalized.
That was my
until
concern.
the road is actually constructed.
Okay. Is there anyone that has any information? Mr. Fowler, have you or your applicant done anything concerning that to gain information about that?
I understand there's going to be a traffic light. Todd was asking if there's going to be a traffic light, is there a left turn lane? We haven't seen the striping plan. Michelle has one in her office, however, and she may have that information.
Could you help us with that possibly, Ms. Wright, to answer that question? Thank you.
I have the plans in my office, and my understanding there is going to be a traffic light. However, I don't have the information in front of me as to the left turn lane and the width of the pavement, but I could bring that information back.
I would assume there would be a left turn lane in order to gain access to the mobile home community there. Okay, but I'm just concerned about whether there will be a U-turn available or enough room for a U-turn.
I can try to get that information for you for
Okay,
Monday.
thank you. Thank you, Ms. Wright.
Mr.
Mr. Lynn, did you have a
Adams?
comment? Yes,
Yeah, I
go
wanted
ahead.
to
Ms. Stanley, did you want to speak with?
I just wanted to say that I, prior to it, spoken to Jonathan Lynn and also our city manager, Marsha Hampton. But I think Jonathan has had conversation with GDOT in regards to that, correct?
Yes, ma'am. I just sent GDOT a quick email after the zoning board to get more information, and Peter Emanuel sent an email back. There will be no prohibitions to U-turns heading back north on 92 from that red light. And in terms of the width of the road, at that point, it should be fine for a 3-axle truck, because he said there would be a dedicated left turn lane at that red light.
So the DOT representative for our area on this project has said that U-turns would be allowed.
There would be no prohibitions to U-turn at that red light, correct?
Does that help? Helps me, okay. Yes.
I'm sorry,
Yes,
my
ma'am.
other question was just a point of clarity. Initially, when we, this agenda item was not on the docket, but of course it was handled under other business, which is amenable to us to hear. There were great concerns about the trucks on Malone Street, and for what the zoning stipulations currently have us now, there is no access for those trucks for the company to come on Malone Street. They're on 92, but the applicant is asking just for the employees to use Malone, just like Malone is used now when you go to Alice Hawthorne or Jesse Davis Park, trucks and cars to drive on that street. So is that what?
That is how I understand it, Madam Mayor, and I will ask the applicant that same question, but I would assume that what the intention of that is that there would be the same access for employees to use Malone Street as an entrance and exit to the business as any other person in an automobile that would want to use Malone Street to access their property or the park property. Is that correct, sir?
That is correct.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all.
Yes. Comment.
Just comments. Thank you, Madam Mayor, for your comments. And in regards to the no truck traffic through Malone, on Malone Street, I've spoken with Ms. Hampton, along with comments to Chief Sparks and to Mr. Lynn to make sure that sign is put up. And also just some concerns to make sure that the trucks are not going through Audrey Circle. That might be a pretty tight turn for that. Is that correct?
Yeah, we actually, if you look here, I don't know if you want to take that to them and show them.
Am I permitted to step forward with a board? I will
Sure.
tell you this.
Just to put it in
Yes.
I
perspective.
provided you a small version of
I
this.
can't see
just
it.
in
You can
case.
bring the board.
I have no problem with it, Mr. Fowler, if they'd like to see it.
If for some reason the U-turn does become an issue for any means, and quite honestly, we would love to do a U-turn there if there's proper left turn lane and enough room. If we had to make a right turn on Autry and then quickly come around, we can do that without actually getting even close to any of the subdivisions over there based on the cut-through that's in front of the car wash.
And I'm not familiar with the name of that street. It's not labeled here, but that would mean that you would travel one block on Autry on the side of the north side of the Fortress Mini Warehouses and then make a left. And I don't know the name of that street.
I don't think it has a street sign.
I'm not even sure that's a city street, to be perfectly
There's a business, car wash there.
I'm unaware of the name.
Okay, but that would be your alternative plan should there be a problem at the intersection of Malone and 92 North at the red light?
Correct. Until Mr. Lynn updated us about the left turn lane, I was still kind of in limbo if that was actually happening on that intersection. So we had discussed using that right turn as an option.
Yeah, and that property there is for sale. I'm not sure, if someone purchased that, what that would be. And currently there's not a red light at Malone Road.
No, it's dangerous.
It's
I mean, if you're
very
over there,
dangerous.
it's
In fact, there
a lot
have
of cars and-
been fatalities there, and there have been both pedestrian and automobiles that have had some very serious accidents there. So my question would be, if GDOT is going to permit a left turn with the light, what do you do with the light not being there?
Well, I mean, as I said, if there is no light, we would have to go right and then cut through and make a left on Malone.
Yeah. And I think even making a left through Malone, just coming off of Malone, period, that's where the accidents have been. And it's very, very serious.
We've had that same issue a number of years. The school buses, anyone trying to get out and off of Malone onto 92. And
Right.
I'm assuming that GDOT has realized, along with this plan in the redirection of 92 through our city, that is going to just be that much more of a problem. So I'm assuming that light is coming as soon as they get to that portion of the road, which we're anticipating in the next, Ms. Wright, the next 12 to 18 months. So 2.5 years, not 1.5 years. Okay. Other questions or comments? Any other?
Right. With the, just to piggyback off of what Councilman Miller has stated, and also the residents in regards to dropping all of the stipulations, in your other businesses in the other states, do you actually bring concrete to any of those businesses at all?
We have one location that actually is partnered with a concrete or a material recycling facility. We're adjacent to them, so we are all on the same area, but it is a separate parcel. All the others are just standalone as this.
So dropping the stipulations could possibly allow that to take place, yes? At some
what's
point,
that?
for you to be able to bring concrete to that location with the stipulations being dropped? At some point,
I'm sorry, I guess I don't understand exactly what the question is.
With the current stipulations in 2008 under that ordinance,
Yes.
dropping all of the stipulations could allow at some point for you to be able to bring concrete to that area?
I believe that would be heavy industrial zone rather than light industrial.
Well, we can
I don't believe it falls into light industrial
amend
zoning.
the special stipulations as written to exclude all concrete work other than concrete washout, if that's agreeable with everyone.
If I might add, now you said that you partnered with a concrete company. You are not in the concrete business itself, so
Correct.
you would not be bringing a concrete plant onto the property.
No.
Okay, but just
No, and
washout.
that's not in the current
Okay, that's what
proposed
I
scope.
thought.
It's
So
just-
that's not a part of the business. That's what I thought I understood.
Right.
Material goes to recycling facility. And I'm fairly confident that is required of heavy industrial rather than light industrial. I don't think you could do that on that parcel either way.
Plus, we'll stipulate that you can't do it at
That
any
way
point in
we,
the future to
right,
solve that
thank
issue.
you.
Right.
I think that might be safe to just keep it that way as well.
Understand.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions of the applicant?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Davis?
A lot of the residents there, they really got a problem. What can we do to make the residents happy? Will there be a sign wall, or will there be a fencing to separate?
There's an 8-foot wood fence surrounding the property, which is the code that you guys have for privacy fencing.
And I want to say too that I commend you for your persistence. I do agree with the I do live in the area, and it no one is anti-business by no means. This has been very challenging for all of us, but I do appreciate your persistence, and just let's see what we can do.
And I will say, just as a side note, there was talk originally when we were purchasing the property with the town and the planning department about the fact that it was one parcel but 2 zones. And we did not have a desire to zone the whole thing industrial because we would love to see the front portion get developed as a nice commercial space that helps that frontage area. So that intent hasn't changed.
I don't have any other comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Siegel?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have one question. Looking at the information that we got from the zoning board, I noticed that a couple of the zoning board members had written notes that you would be meeting with the local residents before tonight. Has that happened?
We met a bit after the meeting last week. Unfortunately, I'm in Orlando right now full-time, so I've been back and forth a bit. My team's been talking with some other folks that were at the meetings since we were talking last week, but we did meet for about a half an hour after last week's meeting. I talked to the 2 folks who spoke today and also to the gentleman from the football program and a few others. So there has been some dialogue there. I think between the timing of last week and tonight's meeting, it's a little difficult for us to get into too much depth, but as I've continued to say at these meetings, we're very much looking forward to being a part of this community. I don't want a 20-foot fence and feeling like everybody's, not getting along. I want it to be a fantastic operation where you guys are benefiting from us and we're benefiting from you. So I'm hoping that that's the case.
One more question. Have you spoken with storage, Chip Reed?
Yep, absolutely.
Mr. Chairman, just one question about the employees, the 10 to 15, the traffic, employee traffic. Are those employees already hired, or is that something that's going to add to the community?
They're not
also?
already hired, and our goal is to find local help.
Okay, thank you.
One question that I had, and I think this will reiterate some of the concerns that Ms. Stanley and Mr. Davis and possibly the residents have concerning access to the back, we'll call it out the back gate, so to speak. Are the employees allowed, or do they make it a regular habit? We can designate it a no-truck district, as we've already said, and I'm sure that will be the next step. But are they allowed, or do they take these trucks to their residence?
No.
So there is no employee use of that vehicle, no possibility that they decide early one morning to sneak in the back gate, so to speak.
A nice white pickup truck with a logo on the door.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay. Folks, we appreciate you coming. We will take this up on Monday night. Yes, thank you all for your patience and your comments. We'll move on to item C. Approve a request for a variance from subsection 4.03.01A of the zoning ordinance to reduce the front yard setback requirement on the west side of property located at 8660 Club Drive in land lot 16, District 1, Section 5E, Parcel 103A, a distance of 28 feet from the required 50 feet for a principal structure in R2 district for a required front setback of 22 feet, and reduce the rear yard setback requirement on the east side of the property a distance of 10 feet from the required 30 feet for a principal structure in an R2 district for a required rear yard setback of 20 feet. Is there anyone here to represent this approval or this request for a variance? Good evening, sir. How are you?
How you doing? Jason Bell, 4435 Red Eagle Court, Douglasville, Georgia, 30135.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. First, I want to say thank y'all for the split that y'all gave me on the property when I first got it. And I don't know if y'all saw the 2 properties. I think we brought 2 beautiful properties to the city of Douglasville. But tonight, what I'm trying to do is on my 3rd piece of property, I'm trying to build a home which is requiring 1,800 square feet to build on this lot. So it wouldn't fit. If I followed the requirements now, it's 50 foot and 30 foot, and the property is only 100 foot depth. So that would only give me like a 20 foot wide property. So, I mean, it would basically be a shotgun house. So I'm just trying to see how we can work either lower square footage on the building itself or some of the variance so I could put the house in it, the lot.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bell. Again, this is an open forum as to discussion, so we're not holding a public hearing, but we do have questions, I'm sure, of council. I will preface your questions in saying that I went out to the site this afternoon, and Mr. Bell was there working on the property adjacent. And basically, the 50-foot setback from Club Drive is what is in force, and he's asking for a 28-foot variance, which means we'd have a 22-foot front yard. And I anticipate, in talking with him, the reason for the problem is that he has purchased, or has access to an L-shaped plan, which means that the garage extrudes out in front of the balance of the house. And that means that, and you have to have your setback from the front of the structure, which is the garage in this case, which means that he would need a 28-foot variance on the front. And then, of course, the back, from what he showed me, would be reduced from 30-foot setback to 20. So questions concerning this variance request?
Mr. Chairman, this is your background. Somewhat, does it look out of place if the variances were done? I mean, could you picture it?
Well, and Mr. Bell and I talked about this also. If you remember when the group came in and asked for some changes on the property to split the property, I know there's a property on the corner that sits facing the side street, and I do not recall the name of that street. Mr. Bell, what's
6750 Clark Street.
Okay. The property on the corner faces Clark Street, so the sideline setback, I believe, is 15 feet. Okay, so when you add 15 plus the right-of-way, you're at about 26 feet, but that's the side of the house. The other structure, the next structure down, which they're working on now, is a 50-foot setback. And this is what will be next door to this new this new home if it were built. Problem is the property is twice as wide as it is deep.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my concern also. It's just the aesthetic look of it going down the street. You know, are we like jetting out or setting
You are.
back?
Yes, you would be, yes. I talked with Mr. Bell about his situation and the fact that he chose an L-shaped plan could have created part of the problem, because he has plenty of width. In 200 feet of width, he just doesn't have a lot of depth because of the way this lot is laid out, and it has been. Yes, sir.
And after I finished talking with you, I checked to see, and I can build 1,500 square foot. I know I told you I already paid $1,500 for the blueprint. I didn't want to buy it again, but I am up to buy another one to accommodate to the 1,500 square feet. And the other thing was too, at 8730 Club, which is right down the street, that setback was 39 foot. So if we could do some type of variance where you could just, even if it's just 10 in the front and 5 in the back, that would give me 35 to 40 feet. So I don't have to build a shotgun home, and I could just change. I just have to buy a new blueprint. If we can do that. I know I paid for this variance. I don't know if we can change the variance without having to go another 2 or 3 weeks.
You have to go another 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh.
That was going to be my question for council, just so that you heard it from.
If he's telling us he doesn't need all the variance that's been requested, yes, you're not supposed to grant him more than he needs, and you can reduce it without re-advertising. If he's asking for a different variance or more of a variance, no, you cannot do that without re-advertising.
So then what we would need to be deciding upon on Monday night would be, can we grant a variance? And if we can work it out with him to grant less than a 28-foot front variance, then we are allowed to do that without re-advertisement, Mr. Bell.
Oh, great.
Okay.
Great.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I just had a question. I noticed I'm looking at the, I don't know if I'm going to call this, what is that called?
That's the site plan.
The site plan. I was just curious, it looks like you've got a septic tank here. Is there not?
Yeah, I'll stop the city sewage right past the AT&T building. I tried everything. I've been working with WSA to try to get sewage a little closer to me, and we finally came up with something, but they want to charge me $16,000 to bring it like 10 foot. It's a little bit outside my budget.
Other comments or questions? So let's clarify then. What we have then is it looks as though to me from the site plan, and I don't find that on my.
I have some if you want one. You want one?
It's here. I just haven't found it yet.
Okay.
On page 7 of 16, you will see a site plan.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing that site plan, you will see that there is, in fact, there has to be allocation there for a septic tank, field line and septic tank, which would be on the north side of the property. So now I understand even better why you had an L-shaped house, because that pushes you down the hill a lot. The need for the reduction, 20-foot rear line, I see. But the confusion I have now is you're saying that you can build a smaller footprint home. You can build a 1,500-foot home.
Devin just told me that I can do 1,500. Initially, I was told I had to do 1,800.
Okay, so you have based that upon information you were told by planning and zoning, and it had to be 1,800 feet. Okay, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Are we sure about that?
We'll know before Monday, I hope. So you could potentially, if we knew the dimensions of the house plan and if 1,500 feet were allowed, Ms. Littlefield, can we go this far? If 1,500 feet were allowed rather than 18, and he could give us a reduced amount of the need for his variance, we could then go forward on that on Monday night. Is that correct?
You could and you must according to the ordinance. You
Okay.
cannot grant more than he needs.
Could we ask staff and Mr. Bell to get together and see what that footprint is, see if that will help us in making a decision that would prevent you from having to come back again, but at the same time, not necessarily have to grant such a large easement? Is that agreeable? Is that proper? Is that possible?
Yes, sir. You'll have a response from staff before close of business tomorrow.
Okay. Any other question or comment? Yes, Madam Mayor.
Mr. Chairman, so for Mr. Bell, if we were to grant what he's proposing, but he didn't need as many setbacks, he does not have to come before us for the next 2 or 3 weeks. Is that correct?
He does not need to come back to you to lower his variance after it's already been granted and he does not use it.
Okay, well, thank you. Please forgive me, Mr. Bell. When I said you'd have to come back, that was knee-jerk, thinking that you still had the 1,800 square feet and all that, so
Okay.
I apologize.
Okay.
Yes.
Any other questions for this applicant? Mr. Bell, I want to commend you on the job you all have been doing on the houses that you've already worked on. It really looks nice.
Thank
Appreciate that.
Thank you all
I know
again.
that you have a fine-looking product there.
Thank
Thank you very much. Okay. We will move on to item D. That is approve a request for a variance from subsection 4.03.01A of the zoning ordinance to reduce the rear yard setback requirement on the east side of property located at 8570 Hospital Drive, Land Lot 50, District 1, Section 5, Parcel 58, a distance of 50 feet from the required 50 feet for a principal structure in CG District for a required rear yard setback of 0 feet. Anyone here that would represent this application for variance? If so, please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and present your case to us, please.
Good evening, Council. My name is Marvin Kennedy. We reside at 3558 South Melissa Lane, Douglasville. I'm a general contractor for the applicant.
I'm Jed Chen with the furniture store on the 8570 Hospital Drive.
What happened?
The reason we come today is to see if we can work out the variance for the setback, and you know, this property has like about it's about 43 years on this the store on the property is about 43 years already. It's pretty old. There was a metal building, and the ex-owner opened the store and paying tax on this property over 40 years, and we have the business on this property is more than 10 years already. We do furniture business right there, and we always try to see we can make the building better looking, improve, and when we just moving, open the business right here, we spend all our money, but all we can do just put the firm brake on that whole building. But now we already see if we can rebuild the whole building. And but 40 years passed. Now the city's construction code is reject. We may have problem to rebuild the building, make it nicer if we don't have the variance, and we do need the variance for the setback from the 50 feet compared just like what it was. We have the building right there. We just tear down part of that, and we are trying to build one. It's like this. We have the plan, or the Marvin is my contractor. This the building we were gonna put the back right there.
Have that.
Yes, sir, we have that on page
That's
9
great.
of 20.
Yeah, that's great. And
Council and Mayor.
compare with the view now, it really just you really need to do some improvement, and hopefully we can have the variance and have the better looking on the street. We do better business, then the whole street doing the better business, and the city get more come in the city. That's what we
Mr.
try
Chairman, can I ask you
to
a question?
see.
One second.
I'm just trying to, I'm sorry, it's difficult to understand. I
Very.
hear in Southern, and your accent's a little different. So I don't mean to be problematic, but let me ask you a few questions.
Sure.
And I think that'll clear some things up. It looks like this building's been there for 40 some odd years. It looks like part of the building is against, there was no 50-foot buffer back then. Is that correct?
That's what it's what it appears to me on the.
Now with their rehab project, they're now they're now subject to the 50-foot buffer, or is there not I would assume that there would be some type of grandfathering.
And I'm at a loss to know the answer to that question, Mr. Miller. I see, looking at the site plan, that it looks as though there's a part of the building that.
You have a section of your ordinance about non-conforming uses. You may not be able to expand the size of the building without coming under the new code.
So let me ask a question then, Mr. Miller, this way, and if, sir, your name again?
My name?
Contractor?
The contractor, Marvin.
Marvin Kennedy.
Mr. Kennedy, we may need you to try to interpret for us. Yes, I have that. Simply because we're having trouble understanding. I understand that part of this building has been removed. There was a part of the building that was removed of late.
Yeah, we try to build that part, rebuild back on that part. Yeah.
Okay, so the part that is there now, that exists today, and by the way, this is where A&W Nursery at one time was
Correct.
located.
Mm-hmm.
The part of the building that is there now, will it remain?
Yes,
or
sir.
will it be torn down?
Oh, it may remain, sir.
Okay, so basically what you're wanting to add in the picture, the rendering you've shown us, is you're wanting to add this onto the end of that building, or will it be a separate building?
That's correct. It'll be to the right of the building. If you're facing the front of the building,
But there's
on the
nothing
storefront,
there
it'll be to the right of it.
So there's nothing there at the moment?
That's
It's been
correct.
taken away, there's nothing there?
That's correct, sir.
Okay, that helps us. Questions,
Yeah, 'cause
comments?
I believe there used to be a parking lot there. That's where he stored.
There was actually, if I'm not mistaken, there was some nurseries, a nursery, like a temporary covering for plants, and then Christmas
Right.
trees and all that, yes.
Right, and then we passed an ordinance that allowed him to park trucks
And sell used automobiles.
Right.
That
and
is correct. We have done that.
That's the same area.
Yes.
Has that expired?
No, I don't think that is.
I don't know if that special land use permit is
Special land
expired or
use.
not. But the variance would be a request to go from a 50-foot setback to 0 setback from the adjoining property. Is that how it's written? Is that the request for the variance?
Yes, sir. Somewhat to that effect, to be able to accommodate the new renovation process.
Okay.
Is that variance requested as a, I mean, do you need that do you have to have that to make the renovation?
According to the setback laws, then I would have to do that.
Do you need to encroach upon that 50
Otherwise, we wouldn't need
feet?
it. If we had a grandfather clause in there, then we would not need it.
So the fact that the property has been changed, now it's falling under the new
Yes,
ordinance, the new requirements. Is that correct, Ms. Littlefield?
My understanding is that he removed his non-conforming use.
And so now he cannot put
Lost
back,
grandfather
cannot put
status.
anything back, so now the grandfather has expired. Okay.
No, I've got another question, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry. Why can't he move the building forward to be compliant with the 50-foot setback at this point?
Because they wouldn't give him ample amount for the parking based on the on the new laws.
So the only way to get this new building, the way he's shown us here, is for him to build it with a zero setback, so he can get a parking lot in accordance with our ordinance as well, to be able to have everything work together.
Well, either that, or if he had something in the area of like maybe a 10-foot buffer behind the building, a new proposed building, then he would meet the requirements. But if you do it on the 50-foot, then that would be kind of extensive as far as the square footage and everything.
What's the ordinance with the restrictive ordinance so he'll have enough parking lot space?
Well, he is
Familiar with that? I'm just not familiar with it.
Has anyone seen a site plan that would help us to know?
Were you attempting to say, forgive me, Mr. Chairman, were you attempting to say that basically you want to leave a 10-foot buffer behind that building?
That's correct, sir.
You only need a variance of 40 feet instead of 50 feet.
Yeah, that'd be correct.
So that you would have a 10-foot rear sideline setback with no access for vehicles in the rear of the building. Is that correct?
That's correct. That'd be for emergency exit, egress only.
On foot?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So rather than a 50-foot with zero setback off the property line, 40 feet would work with a 10-foot setback?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
What is behind this? I'm not familiar. An apartment complex.
Yes.
It's a retaining wall right now behind the back of the building, and it's a drop-off with apartment complex behind it with parking area.
Yep, we have the building was right there before. We just tear down because we did not know we need to do this part before we tear it down. We have the old building was there, and now we are building the after. If you look at now it's empty, but we had the building was there.
No, I'm just concerned about the apartment complex and the space now between the wall of this building is only going to be 10 feet off of the property line.
Well, the current building, it's right on the
building's right on the
property line,
wall.
so there shouldn't be a change. Without there being vehicle access, you're not going to get lights or anything coming around the back side. So it's actually, it's kind of a wash.
That's correct. So it won't interfere with the tenants, the adjacent tenants to the apartment complex behind there. For won't be any lights from vehicles and so forth and so on.
And they're used to, if they're, seeing that building there, for the last 43 years, it's not going to be a big difference, except probably look better.
I'm fine.
Other questions, comments?
Questioning.
Is there any other comment on this item? Gentlemen, we appreciate you coming in. We will take this up on Monday night, and thank you for your time.
We appreciate the council for hearing us. Thank you, Madam President.
Madam Mayor, I believe that completes the business under Community and Planning and Development Committee. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll move on to Parks and Recreation Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Chris Watts.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business tonight under Parks and Recreation.
Thank you so much, Coach. We'll move on to Finance Committee. That's chaired by Mayor Pro Tem Larry Yockey.
No items tonight, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Information and Technology Committee, chaired by Councilman Richard Siegel.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No business tonight.
Thank you, sir. Maintenance and Sanitation Committee, that's chaired by Councilmember Mike Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have 2 items tonight under maintenance and sanitation. The first is to authorize the mayor to sign a rental agreement and related documents with Fortress Storage for storage of city-owned personal property formerly stored at the old City Hall building, where they're making renovations for the new maintenance and sanitation offices.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Chelsea Jackson, Operations Manager, 6695 Church Street, Douglasville, Georgia. As Councilman Miller said, this storage facility is for the store items that were previously in the old City Hall building. Those items will remain there until the old City Hall facility has been renovated. Are there any questions?
These items that we want to come back to the old City Hall, or are we going to find another use for them?
Well, some of the items in there are furniture and office supplies and whatnot, so they can be used again.
How long is the term of the lease?
The first term is for the remainder of this year, and then the second term is for the remainder or the entire year of 2018.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Mr. Siegel?
Just one question. How was this particular storage facility selected?
Well, within the past 6 months, the furniture and personal property that were already in the old City Hall building were moved because of filming at the old City Hall, so they were already stored there. So we just figured it would be easier instead of moving them to another storage facility.
And then how was it chosen for the?
It was originally chosen.
Just want to understand the process.
Are you asking why it was chosen originally?
Yeah.
Well, the film production crew chose originally because they are the ones who did the payment originally.
So there was no attempt to check out different storage facilities to see what was more, if there were others that were more advantageous from a price standpoint?
No, we didn't look into that. Our whole, thinking behind it was, since they were already at the storage facility and the unit, instead of moving them and possibly damaging those items, moving them back and forth since they were already moved out of the old City Hall building, was to keep them there to, like I said, to just keep them from being damaged.
Okay. Mr. Adams?
Ms. Jackson, I understand from what I think you just said that a film company actually rented the spot at Fortress Storage originally and moved our items there as a part of their agreement with us?
Yes, they moved the items.
Okay, so we were not involved in a negotiation or taking bids on storage space?
That's correct.
Okay, so we were just, I guess you'd say we were assuming or we're inheriting that space, and because the pieces are already there, or some of them, you just want to let the city take it over, and we're going to take more items to that location, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thanks for that clarification.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. I'd like to have this added to the consent agenda for Monday if there's no other issues. Item number 2 is authorize the purchase of a 2017 Freightliner M2 conventional chassis with Peterson TL3 K-boom body at a cost of $150,423.21. It's a lot to say.
It is K-boom.
It's a kaboom.
A kaboom?
Boom.
Oh, did I say that wrong?
No.
Kaboom?
Greg Roberts, Maintenance and Sanitation Department, 8578 Club Drive, or sanitation at douglasvillega.gov. This is a knuckle boom loader, K-boom for short, and this is the truck, budget-wise, we shifted the monies around last round, and so tonight we're coming to talk about the purchase of the truck. And I'm not sure if there are any questions remaining for tonight on this.
Are there any other questions? I wasn't.
Mr. Chairman, I believe we hashed that out pretty much 2 weeks ago, and may have had some confusion on what we were actually approving at that time, but I didn't have any other questions once it was discussed as to why we were doing what we were doing. So
Okay. Greg, I'll get with you. I was absent with
Okay.
Cole last week or a couple of weeks ago, so we'll get with you. I don't. If nobody else has any questions, I'll just run some by you. Is there any? I would like to add this to the consent agenda for Monday night. I believe it's been hashed out sufficiently, apparently. So, Madam Mayor, if that pleases the council.
No opposition.
Madam Mayor, that's all we have under Maintenance and Sanitation Committee for tonight.
Thank you so much, Councilman Miller. We'll move on to Transportation Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Dr. LaShawn Burdanley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome.
I have 3 items. Authorize the city maintenance director to advertise for the resurfacing of the following streets under the Georgia Department of Transportation 2016 LMIG, which is Local Maintenance and Improvement Grant Program. The streets are West Strickland Street from Old Cedar Mountain Road to South Flat Rock Road, which is 0.86 miles. Newman Street from Fairburn Road to the Dead End, which is 0.12 miles. Club Drive from Bankhead Highway to Selma Drive, 0.52 miles. And McKay Industrial Drive from Granite Drive to Bright Star Road, which is 0.39 miles. Mr. Roberts.
Yes, this was approved, and I would like to get this put out to bid here in the next couple of weeks. Can we go ahead and read LMIG,
Sure.
LMIG 17, and then that might make more sense?
Absolutely. And what he's doing is, I'm going to read the second so he can put all of them in once, in one category. Authorize the city maintenance director to advertise for resurfacing of the following streets under the Georgia Department of Transportation 2017 LMIG Local Maintenance Improvement Grant Program, which are Presley Mill Road from Campbellton Street to Hospital Drive, 0.29 mile, Young Street from Malone Street to Cousin Street, 0.09 miles, Cousin Street from Young Street to Bay Street, 0.1 mile, Kemper Street from Cousin Street to Dead End, 0.11 miles. Bay Street from Cousin Street to Colquitt Street, 0.07 mile. Maxwell Street from Malone Street to Eunice Street, 0.28 mile. Duncan Street from Bankhead Highway to Campbellton Street, 0.63 mile. Camp Street from East Strickland Street to Dead End, 0.18 mile. And Eunice Street from East Strickland Street to Dead End, 0.13 mile. Thank you, Mr. Roberts.
Thank you. And the reason I wanted my comments to make sense to both you and then to the listening audience for anyone that might listen to the meeting. So we're going to put out the LMIG 16 and the LMIG 17. These are both lists that have previously been approved. One of the reasons for LMIG 16, after some discussion with the Water Sewer Authority, they had some pipe bursting going on Club Drive, and I think they've pretty much wrapped that up. I will confirm that, but I had told them we were going to put that out this summer, and I believe they've wrapped that up over the last 1 month or so, and some of it actually happened at our current offices, so that will get that street done. What you will find, in the committee meeting earlier, we had some discussion about the spliced for the streets that are on that list that we will talk about again later. But some of those streets are on that list. They're not necessarily categorized in the same areas. But if you've got any questions about any of this, these are lists that we previously approved, so we can't change it without going back to GDOT. So I'm not asking for any change on it other than for your permission to put it out to bid.
Are there any questions or comments from our mayor or council? Thank you, Mr. Roberts. It's been a long time coming.
Thank you.
All right. I'd like to, if it's okay with the mayor and council, add these 2 items to the consent agenda. Okay. The last item, authorize the mayor to sign an annual Title IV non-discrimination certification document for the Georgia Department of Transportation. Ms. Wright.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Michelle Wright, Planning Director, 6695 Church Street. The Georgia Department of Transportation requires a Title VI non-discrimination agreement to be signed. We did sign one in the year 2015, and but I was also notified that we're going to have to be doing this annually. And basically what it says is that we will not discriminate in our federally assisted programs against race, color, national origin, or sex. And this will be a non-discrimination clauses will be in our contracts. They are in our contracts now, but they're requiring this to be done annually, and so I'm requesting to bring this before you so that the mayor can sign the non-discrimination agreement.
Thank you, Ms. Wright. Are there any questions or comments?
Yes, Madam Chair. Just going through the contract I had done earlier is with the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and then the revision of 1987, and just provisions for seeking contracts and federal binding monies for subcontractors, transferees, successors and interests, and all those programs, anything that we have to do with GDOT, that just saying you have to prohibit people from discriminatory acts as they apply, and to be fair and equal across the board.
That is correct.
Right. Thank you so much, Madam Chair.
Right, it's a great document, actually. Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions? If not, I'd like to put this under the consent agenda as well. All right. No other items under transportation, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Madam Chair. We'll move on to Personnel and Organization Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Richard Siegel.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No items tonight.
Thank you, sir. Ordinance and Intergovernmental Committee. That's chaired by Councilman Mike Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have one item tonight. It's enact a new compensation ordinance for the city's elected officials, authorizing the mayor to use a city-owned vehicle for commuting purposes and authorizing a cash allowance as an alternative to the use of such vehicle with a delayed effective date of January 1, 2018.
Mr. Chairman, if you'll turn to page 2 on your attachment 2 of 3, you'll see section 4 that contains all the changes, and it's pretty much as you recited in the agenda item. We had talked briefly about how often the mayor can make changes. I've put a once every 12 months in there. The finance director tells me that there are some tax laws that they'll have an impact about that. I didn't want to go too far down the road in putting any limits on it. So please let me know if you have questions.
So this ordinance at this point is compliant with?
It is.
Okay. I know we've talked significantly about this, and we've heard from the community about this. I think we've hashed out all the issues. I would first of all ask if there's any further questions or concerns from the council or Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. The only thing I would say is that it was raised today, and I know it wasn't in all sincerity, but just to make sure that the audience and viewing citizens would know, if I decided to not use the city vehicle for the year that starts for January 2018, I would suspend the use of the vehicle now in 2017 in December. I wouldn't go back in 12 months and go back from city to personal to city to personal. I would decide and just stick with one mode of operation so that it wouldn't be confusing to the taxpayers and for transparency, so the records can be provided at that point.
Also, the tax implications would be crazy.
Yes,
so we've looked at this long and hard. I know, and good job from our Ms. Callan and Ms. Littlefield for sorting through all this. If there's no opposition from the mayor or council, I'd ask that this be placed on the consent agenda for Monday.
Might I ask one question before
Sure,
we do
you may.
that, Mr. Miller? If I'm not mistaken, when our mayor was running for the office of mayor, and upon being elected, did you not originally request to have an automobile allowance instead of a city vehicle?
Yes, sir.
And it was not allowed by the ordinance at that time, the way it was written, correct? So this is basically getting back to that. Our city manager, Ms. Hampton, you have the same basic setup, is that correct?
Yes, sir. The ordinance allows the choice.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's what this did. It allowed for the choice.
Yes.
That's
All right.
a good thing.
I would also point out that any mayor who selects the allowance instead of a city-owned vehicle is not subject to the city logo law that goes on the vehicle.
We wouldn't have to waive
We
the
wouldn't
logo?
have to vote on that if
What?
the mayor selected their own vehicle with the allowance. So.
And the current vehicle, since it's a city-owned vehicle, would just go into our fleet, and we would have a fleet car, an extra fleet car.
Any other comments or questions, concerns? All right, once again, if there's no opposition, I ask that this be placed on the consent agenda for Monday night. All right, thank you, Madam Mayor. And that is all we have under Ordinance and Intergovernmental Committee tonight, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. We'll move on to Education and Training Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Samuel Davis.
No items at this time, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, sir. Is there any other business to come before Mayor and Council tonight from council members? Thank you. Not seeing any, we will go on with item 17 on the agenda. The City Attorney, Mr. Joel Dotson.
No business, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Colonel Dotson. Chief Assistant City Attorney, Ms. Susan Littlefield.
No business, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Chief of Police, looking sharp over there. Chief Gary Sparks.
Miami Vice.
No business, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much. City Manager, Ms. Marsha Hampton.
Yes, ma'am. A couple things.
Okay.
On May 15th, you all, that is your last regularly scheduled meeting for the month of May. You all have a fifth Monday, which is Memorial Day holiday, but we're not going to let you escape without having another meeting in May because we do have a special called Information Technology Committee meeting to do interviews for companies to do a communications branding plan for us at 5 p.m. and you will be receiving those agendas shortly.
And that's not limited to members of the Information Committee. Y'all are welcome.
That is correct. On May 15th, you all will receive, thanks to Councilman Siegel and our preliminary budget meeting today, a draft budget on Monday night to be in compliance with our city charter. It is a draft. It is a very rough draft, but it is a draft budget. We are pretty much secure into what's in the budget. And with that schedule, Ms. Callan will advertise then on May 19th for your budget workshops. The dates of June 1st and 2nd will remain the same, and we will attempt to adopt the budget on June 19th. So that is our deadline. That's where we're aiming toward, which will include in that time frame as well a budget hearing as required by state law. So the information you receive on Monday, understand that it's not the final. It is not necessarily going to be what you see on June 1st and 2nd, but it will keep us in compliance with our city charter. Also, over the weekend, I would like to wish all of the mothers on the council and the mothers and those of the men on council and on staff happy Mother's Day. Over the weekend on the 16th, we have a request to attend a joint meeting sponsored by the Development Authority with the Board of Commissioners on May 16th at 4 p.m. to discuss the Southwest Thornton Road Master Plan. That meeting, we're going to just go ahead and advertise for it with the anticipation that we will have a quorum of the mayor and council. So when you see that in the paper, that is a joint meeting, again, sponsored by the Development Authority to be joint with the county officials at the county courthouse at 4 p.m. on Tuesday, May 16th.
That's not a voting meeting, correct?
It is not. It is not. But just anticipating that we may have 4 you all there, we're just going to go ahead and advertise. So if you see that, that's what that is concerning. Again, May 25th, you will be interviewing firms for the branding study for the city. And then that fifth Monday on May 29th. And it was mentioned earlier about a response from GDOT regarding Highway 92 and the turn signal. You will see an email that I sent to you all that you can see Mr. Emanuel's response. And that is all that I have for you all, except to remind you, we still have to complete committee meetings after this meeting. And that's it.
Thank you so much, Ms. City Manager. I wanted to negated to say under other business to thank the Northside Council members, Dr. LaShawn Berdanley and Councilmember Samuel Davis, for having a stellar town hall meeting this past Tuesday. It was very well attended. We also had Commissioner Henry Mitchell and School Board member DeVitron Caldwell, and the citizens came out and asked poignant questions. We had support from WSA, and Madam Chair and myself entered at the rear of the meeting as we had another engagement, but it was very well attended. Staff, thank you so much for all the information that you provided. It was invaluable, and I've gotten a lot of positive comments about that town hall meeting, so thank you so much for providing that information to the community. We have the film, The Founder, was postponed to be shown tomorrow, but when is the next day? We have a rain day. Jonathan's gone. Anyway, so we had the Founder person.
Saturday, May 13th.
May 13th.
Yes, ma'am.
That's this Saturday. I thought it was, so it's not Friday, it's not tomorrow, it's Saturday? Okay, so it's Saturday. So for the viewing audience, the film, The Founder, will be shown on the 16th. We had Sing a couple of weeks ago. It was really fun in the old parking lot. That'll be shown for the community. We had a great reception yesterday with the Historic Preservation Commission and Tourism Week. So thank you, staff, for that as well. And then May 20th is Taste of Douglasville that will be held downtown. So we invite the community to come out for that as well. Okay, now we are at the point for comments from citizens and delegates. The podium is available and open, and we encourage you to come to the podium, give your name and address for the record, and then you are welcome to give any comments to the mayor and council. We'd love to hear from you.
Hi, Dolores Sessions, 7250 Westwood Lane, Douglasville. I really want to just come out to invite a new program, to invite you guys to a new program that we have through the Adele Foundation. I'm actually sponsored through them for Delasia's Dream is to Have a Heart. My daughter is a heart patient. She's 13 now. And it's a new nonprofit that I'm trying to present. Since she has a disability, I'm basically just trying to invite everybody out to get a feel of it, but I want to give back to the community and help the families that have children with disabilities to show them that you can give them hope, because that is her dream, is to have a heart. She's not a candidate for a heart transplant, but I kept pushing her, and she survived through so many things that we tried, through creativity, through art, through everything, and I know it's give people life. So I want to give back to the community in every way possible, help the families because a lot of people don't understand when you have a child with a disability, it's hard, it's difficult. So I want to try to help in every way I can. So I would like to invite everybody out. It will be June 2nd. I left flyers. June 2nd at the Douglas Hospital here at 12 noon.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I am Felicia Bellinger. I'm the executive director of the Adele Foundation, and I also am a resident, 3923 Paul Street in Douglasville, Georgia, and we're proud to sponsor her. Her story was just so awesome because her daughter was not supposed to live. And she's still here, and she's been fighting, and she had to find resources by herself and things of that nature. And so with the Adele Foundation, we're going to support her and help her. We're thankful that Douglas Hospital, I'm a WellStar employee. That's where I get paid. I don't get paid at the nonprofit, but they're helping us by allowing us to use the room. So we're having a lunch and learn. You all are welcome to come on your lunch break on that day. It's a Friday. We'll have some nice treats, and you'll be able to find out everything we do with the Adele Foundation. You might not know this, but we have given away every year 100 to 200 book bags filled with school supplies, Christmas toys. We've helped homeless people here in Villa Rica and Douglasville. We also have given away over 600 tickets with our family bonding program. And our programs help the working poor. Those are the people that don't get all the other benefits. So we do a lot. So when you come out, you'll be able to hear everything that we do. We started in Villa Rica, but we're here now in Douglasville, so we want to get to know you all. So you're welcome to come out, have a bite to eat.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation, and congratulations as being a survivor. It's a blessing. Thank you for coming tonight. I saw WellStar Director Craig Owens was here earlier. He must have had to leave, but he was here to support as well. You're welcome. God bless you.
Good afternoon, Mayor. How you doing, ladies and gentlemen?
Yes.
I would like to draw y'all.
Give us your name and address, Brother
my name is Kelvin Harris. I say 6637 Copper Court, Avalon Subdivision. I would like to go back to your agenda 11A about the agreement with Forward Storage. I think it's a conflict of interest with Mr. Chip Reed. I'm asking that y'all put this on the agenda for discussion. Mr. Chip Reed's name has been brought up a lot. He sold us the property, and he was the builder of my subdivision. Mr. Chip Reed have a bad.
All right, Mr. Harris, you can just say, the developer, we asked you not to do a personal attack. You weren't here in the beginning.
It's not personal, Mayor. I'm just telling you, the name was brought up. And I want it in the record because I'm in this subdivision, Avalon, that he built.
Yes, sir.
We spent 3 years coming back and forth to get information on Mr. Chip Reed. And we mentioned his name, everything freezes. I got documentations and everything. All I'm saying is I'm a taxpayer.
Yes,
and
sir.
if we're gonna spend taxpayer money to put storage in files, it should be open, in an open bid. This is a conflict of interest. That's all I'm asking y'all to do is bring it up for discussion. Because Mr. Reed, and I respect you, Mayor,
Yes,
but I
sir.
must say it for the record, Mr. Reed have a bad, when I say a bad name when it comes to building stuff, he have a bad name, and that's all I'm asking y'all to do is to put it up for discussion.
Okay, in reference to the city's equipment
For
in
you
the storage
vote-
unit?
Yeah, for the storage unit, it should have been a bid. And it's not a bid. Just to give it to him like that, it's a conflict of interest.
Well, for clarification that the chair brought up at the time is that the filming company that used our facility, that was a private film company, they decided to go with Fortress Storage. So the city didn't have anything to do with that, but the equipment is there from Fortress Storage based on what the film company decided to do. Now that we're renovating, we didn't want to move some of the city equipment and damage it, so we're just adding some more equipment to an already storage unit that's already been occupied.
So it's no new, it's just adding more.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you.
So it wasn't, we didn't just arbitrarily or specifically choose him for favoritism. The film company decided privately to go with Fortress Storage, not knowing who the owner was,
Okay.
from my understanding. I'm not just putting that part in. They have Fortress Storage, and we decided to add city furniture or city supplies to an already rented storage unit at Fortress Storage. Is that correct? Am I stating that correctly?
Thank you.
You're
I'll go up on
welcome,
the
but we
open
appreciate your comments. Thank you, Mr. Harris. This is going to be different, Mrs. Mitchell. Okay. Can't say the same.
I say my name and address again?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Noby Mitchell, 7755 Mountain Creek Way, Douglasville, Georgia. This is what I would have said, but Mr. Adams indicated that it wasn't part of that issue.
Mm-hmm.
So I come asking that mayor and council consider some training for whether some or all of the zoning board members. Education, training, especially with regards to the north side of Douglasville. Also, some or all could potentially use some professionalism training, and also understanding the codes, and refrain from such derogatory remarks, especially when it comes to the north side of town, which has been neglected over the years. And I know Mr. Siegel live on Northside Drive, Northside Parkway, Riverside. And you can't really compare Riverside Drive to the north side of Douglasville, which is a planned community. And so I just took offense to that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Mitchell. And I will just for the record to say that our zoning board has had training. Our zoning board has had training, and they've had, through Atlanta Regional Commission, they've had training sessions, as well as staff has trained the zoning board. Okay. We appreciate your comments. Yes, sir.
I don't think we can remove anybody from a board. Is that correct?
Actually, we changed that law. Zoning board members could not be removed until a few months ago when you changed your charter and we changed the ordinance. Now they're the same as everyone else and can be removed at any time, except for an illegal reason.
Okay, so that's different. So we changed that a few minutes ago. So I thought that the zoning board members were appointed until their time. If their time for appointment was 2019 or 2020, they stayed on and.
Well, everyone's appointed for a term for all boards, but
Yes,
zoning
ma'am.
board members could not be removed without cause until a few months ago when you changed your charter. They can be removed now the same as any other board member for no reason.
So without cause. So it's
Yes.
just up to the discretion of the council.
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Madam Mayor, can we put this on discussion, on the agenda for discussion?
Certainly, you talk to the community and economic, or community and planning.
No problem.
Yes, sir.
I have no problem at all with that being
Yeah, we
put
can
on
put
as
that on the board.
a committee discussion. Sure.
Sir.
Sounds great. Any other comments? Oh, yes, sir, Mr. Nation.
Still on the comments section? We're still on the comments and.
Yes.
Yes, I know I was,
Mr. Nation, give us your name and address again for the record, please, since you're returning.
yes, Jesse Nation, 1621 Doris Road, Douglasville.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I know earlier you said it wasn't an appropriate time for me to voice my concerns about the zoning board memo, so I'm want to know, is this an appropriate time for that?
Yes, sir. As long as it's not a personal attack, you can certainly.
Well, as I said, it was a situation, incident where a comment was made, and it was really disturbed the attendance that was at that meeting on May the 2nd, and we feel like anyone that makes any kind of condescending remarks as was made that day, they really don't need to be on the zoning board. And we asked the mayor and the council if they would seriously consider removing this particular individual from the zoning board. It's because he's definitely not a friend of the north side of town. And we want somebody that's on the board that's going to be looking out for our concerns and well-being on that side of town. And as I said, this individual, he's from his statement, he's really not. He really don't need to be on that zoning board. I don't care what side of town he made that comment about. He just don't need to be there when he has those type of feelings about any section of the city. And so we do ask the mayor and the council if they would seriously consider replacing that individual. So if there's any questions for me from any of you that about this situation, I'll be more than happy to elaborate on it. So
thank you.
As I said, we hope you seriously consider our request.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nation. We did receive your email, and as I stated to you in my response, we'll take everything into consideration. There's always more than one side to a story, and we'll see what happened and for provocation or whatever happened to cause those comments or whatever was taken, but that's something that we would discuss in executive session because it's a personnel matter, and then we'll, of course, respond accordingly. So thank you for your concerns and coming forward and letting us know.
All right, thank you.
Mayor, if I might add, just to address Mr. Nation, I was not trying to be disrespectful to you. Jesse, I think I can call you Jesse. We've known one another for many years.
Oh, yes.
Went to school together, but
sure.
Under that agenda item, I was just trying to keep it on focus for that.
Yes.
That's all, and I appreciate you
no
coming
problem
back.
with that. Yeah, I had no problem.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you,
All right.
Mr. Nation.
All right, thank you.
We appreciate you.
Sure.
Any other comments from citizens and delegates at this time?
Madam Mayor, I just wanted to make a comment. First, just to the residents that make comments, just want to appreciate you for bringing things to our attention that we may not know. And also to address our chairman, under Community and Economic Development. Thank you for opening the option to put it up for discussion, not just for planning and zoning appointees, but also just to relook at those that are appointed by the mayor and council on any of our boards, just to make sure that they exemplify professionalism and also just making sure that they have the best interest of the city of Douglasville as a whole. So just revisiting all of those that are appointed. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Councilwoman. Any other comments? Okay, we'll go on to staff reports, item 22. Any staff reports? All right, well, we will adjourn into committee meetings. So I make a motion, I'll open the floor.
Make a motion that we adjourn.
All those in favor, please say, oh. Are we voting on this? Okay, so someone made a motion and there was a second. Okay, and you have the second. All of those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
You want us to push the, tap it in? Okay. Okay. Our technology chair is making sure we do this on the tablet. Okay, oppose, same sign. Unanimously voted on that we will go into, adjourn into committee meetings. Okay, we're adjourning to committee.